Did someone have an example? A question, rather? How can you run just one portion of your class? You'd have to create a separate method out of it. What happens when I enter 10? Let's take a look at the code. Let's just go ahead and run it and enter 10. I5, because it's divisible by 5. The number is a multiple of 5, which means divisible by 5. Otherwise, if it's divisible by 2, just print that. 2. Oh, it's a high 5 and an even. Okay. Very good point. So what we can do is I used an else if, which means that this if only gets checked if this first if. So what I can do is remove the else and make it a separate if statement, essentially. Separate independent if statements. And then you'll get both. It's a good point. So I really shouldn't have made it. So let's put 10. So now you get both. You're welcome. Okay. The program can guess your birth date. Run and see how it works. I don't think I have this code here. This is probably on their website. Let me see if I have those things. Yeah, that'd be great if you could. I think I can get it from their website. I thought I had already downloaded it, and it looks like I didn't. Send it to my Yahoo account. That's fine. Okay. I got the code. Thank you. I will, and I'm downloading all the code from their website as well. I will create a new class here. And it's birthday. So we'll go ahead and run this and see how it works. Okay, it's okay that it has the J option 1. That's not a problem. Is your birthday one of these numbers? Is your birthday one of these numbers? Is your birthday in these numbers? That's the first. Okay. So I think what it's doing is it's got a set of numbers, and it's just doing a process of elimination. Interesting how it does that. It adds one. Oh. So it must have them lined up some way so as to get that. It's probably got them set up. Well, let's see if the number is set up. So it's just a process of elimination is what they're doing. And it looks like, so the first time it's 1, the second time it's 2, because it adds, it's interesting. Anyway, we could go through the logic and figure it out. But it's a process of elimination is what it is. So they're not really guessing anything. Okay. So it goes through it, see how it works. And it looks like it's doing mathematical basics for the game. Is that 19 is binary, 7 is 111, binary 23 is in binary. So oh, I see how it's doing. So it's just adding the number each time. Oh, so it starts with the first number, and each one is always in binary. Oh, that's interesting. And that's how they come up with the result. Okay, the two-way if statement, which I kind of already showed you, it just allows you to do an if-else sort of thing. And we looked at that in this new class. Well, I overrode it already, but I had an else here, basically saying that it was either right or wrong. And we looked at the if. Okay, so here, what we're basically going to do is take that same one from before, and we're just going to add the else part to it. So if we go back to our radius example, we're simply going to add an else to it. So that when we run this, we get a negative value. Or if we enter a negative value, then we'll get a message instead of getting nothing. So basically saying it's either yes or no. I mean, if statements are always yes or no. Multiple alternative statements. Okay, so this could be where, and there's a couple of different styles for doing it, but they all work the same way. You can have else ifs. So, for example, well, I had an else if before, right? Um, it's going slow today. We'll go back to this. And, looking at different grades, if it's greater than 90A. So it's else if. All right. Beans is not being very nice today. And this shows you the flow charting for it, that if it's true, you're done, you print the letter grade, else you go on and check the score again, else if it's greater than 70, then it's a C, and so forth down the line. So here's another way of doing that else. And we could do it, it'd be fairly straightforward to do it. Just prompt for an average and an output, what the grade is. So again here, let's suppose the score is 70. You check 90. 70 is not greater than 90. So then you go on to the next one. It's not greater than 80. And then for 70, it finally is true. So the grade is a C. And then you're done. It skips the last two because they're no longer relevant. Okay, so here is why I recommend that you always use curly brackets. Because remember I said that if it's only one command, you don't have to use the curly brackets. But the problem comes into play when you start having else's. And here's the situation, and we could just throw this right on in and try processing it, is that if we do if, now another if called a nested if, and then an else, and you put the else all the way over here, you're probably thinking that it's going to be the else to this if. That's not the case. The else goes to the nearest if. So we're not going to get the output we expect. And let's do it right here. Fortunately. You see how the NetBeans put it all the way over there because it knows where it's supposed to go. So logically, we're thinking that this else is going to go to that. So what should the answer be based on this? 1, 2, 3. I is not greater than j. So we would think it would go directly to this else. And actually, in this case, it would. No, it won't. We'll get no answer at all. We would expect that we would get B. We'll get no answer at all. You see, we got nothing. And that's because this else doesn't matter where it's indented. As far as Java is concerned, that's where that else goes. It goes to the nearest if. So the way you fix this is to use the curly brackets every time, which is what I recommend. Now we get the B on the output, right? So because it doesn't matter where your indentation is, without the curly brackets, the else goes to the nearest if, which would have been that right there. But that's really not what we want.